Hey guys, Brian Hill with The Complete Combatant. This is Rule 4, know your target and your surroundings. One of the most difficult for human beings to do well because it's a great idea. The rule is outstanding. We should know our target and our surroundings. But the problem is visually, we're not very adept at that sometimes. We have three visual focuses that we use. One is the foveal cone, very narrow, precise focus. And then we have a wide one, which is called peripheral. All right, and it gives us things on the side, we see motion. And then in between, it's kind of a combination system, which is our panorama vision, which is the way you should be driving, with that kind of a wide open vision. And it's difficult. When we see a threat, we're often going to draw into a detailed vision, which is only 1 to 3 degrees, which means that it excludes the foreground and the background. So the suggestion of the rule is to keep the vision open. Know your target and your surroundings means you need to look up and down and right and left with your vision. Open it as wide as you can. And if you need to pivot and scan before you get started, that's the right way to do it. But then after I get done with shooting the same thing, I want to replay, see if I got the hits I needed, if I'm done with that, and then I'm going to open that vision. Make sure that I see everything around me. Remember, it's only about this wide, so it requires a pretty good head turn. The replay is the context and then looking for anything else. If you see something in your peripheral vision suddenly, it doesn't mean you can pivot and shoot. It means you have to do what? If you're done here with your task, finger comes off, you have to look and see how it needs your attention and then make your decisions. This is very difficult for people and always will be because of the way our vision works. You can't simply assume that you see all these things. You will not be able to see two things at once well. That is a compromise. If you don't believe me, just hold your thumb up and look at it. And what happens is everything in the background fades, or if you look past your thumb becomes a double image. It's a great gift of us with stereoscopic vision that we can look beyond something, but we tend to ignore it. So here we have 3 targets set up that could cause a foreground or a background problem. If something's in front of you, you have to be very careful and you have to use maybe movement to get out of the way, or change your angle, maybe take a knee and shoot up. If it's behind him and say I'm taking a shot here, all right, and then I don't want this to pass through. So once again, movement becomes important. So the rule is telling you, you have to really pay attention to which way the rounds are gonna go when you fire them and how they pass through. With multiple targets, maybe you have a non-threat in the middle. So if I started my draw over there and he moves this way, I can't just muzzle into this position. I may take my muzzle over the top or underneath him to get to that position. What if I'm using cover? One of the interesting things I found with using cover is the edge of cover will often drag at your target focus. So now you've added another thing that you may want to look at. That's why it's really important to stand off cover a little bit unless we have a high angle shooter above us where we'd have to hug up or we have multiple opponents. But know that the edge of cover will drag at your vision and may put you back in that foveal cone. And then the other one, maybe we're using a flashlight. All right. If you're using a flashlight, you're going to have limited ability to see everything around. So a scanning technique is really important. And then maybe you're on a church security detail. You have to think, what if these targets could move? Can you stop the shooting because something's suddenly come into your way? Human beings are very hard at stopping decisional processes once they commit to it. So something suddenly in it may mean that the muzzle needs to come up, finger needs to come off the trigger, or you need to change position to do so. This is a very difficult rule that requires you to keep your vision open, as wide as possible, and to know that the environment could be fluid and could have deep context, which we don't see on the firing range very often. I'd suggest that some of your drills incorporate things that you're not allowed to shoot or draw over or pass over with a gun, so you start thinking about how to move that gun and how to see the foreground and the background. All right, I hope that helps you. That's Rule 4, know your target and surroundings. I'm Brian Hill with The Complete Combatant, and as always, measure, refine, and perform.